to Ohio State stomping out Minnesota 37-3. This game was 37-0 before Minnesota finally got on the board. I mean, Ohio State started slow. They were up just 13-0 at half, and then the avalanche came. Like, we had a sequence that was outstanding. Trey Henderson, at a halftime, 75 yards to the house, longest rush TD of his career, went over 100 yards rushing. I think he had 146 at that point. He's had games this year of 200 yards to scrimmage. He's absolutely a home run hitter, game changer. The next possession for Minnesota, a strip sack that came a turnover. And then, in the middle of all this, I got a white hat, a referee, who didn't like Ohio State players celebrating by posing in the end zone because the defense made a play and decided to call out each one of those players by their individual numbers. I would love to know why he didn't just say unsportsmanlike conduct the entire defense of Ohio State, but that's not what he wanted to do. He wanted to grandstand in front of a Minnesota fan base is like, we really don't need this. We're down 30-0 right now, dog. Like, I need you to help us out and get out of the way. Meanwhile, Marvin Harrison Jr. finishes off that drive, the next play with he finished off the drive with a TD catch in the end zone. I'm so excited about this guy because, well, I think he's going to win the Heisman Trophy if Ohio State can beat Michigan. But more than anything else, I keep looking at 1-8 going, how is Ryan Day going to get that dude the football? And in this game, it was really trying to get the football to Travion Henderson and then Emeka Egbuka and then see what could happen, right? And if you're in a see what could happen stage with Marvin Harrison Jr., he's likely to make you pay for that because you got to be vigilant with that guy. And if you are not vigilant with him, he's going to cook you. So next week, Marvin Harrison Jr. versus Will Johnson, I will have my eyes on that because Marvin Harrison Jr. ate up Kelee Ringo in a college football playoff semifinal last year. And I think that was the best cornerback that Marvin Harrison Jr. had ever seen. Now, we're also getting into a stage where I'd asked going into this game whether or not the Ohio State offense would finally find its mojo. And it took 10.5 games to do it. But this second half, that was Ohio State football as we have come to know it on the offensive side by Ryan Day. And if they are playing that kind of offensive football, they will beat Michigan. Because what Michigan can't do is combat the home run threats that are Travion Henderson, Emeka Egbuka, and Marvin Harrison Jr. And you'll have a guy like Cade Stover just running buck naked open because you have all these other men that you have to be watchful for. So you have to stay on schedule and you have to finish your drives with TDs. Now, nobody's been better about that than Michigan, and not for nothing, it's been really difficult to score on that team too. But we're getting into game number 12 for Ohio State, where they have not allowed an opponent to score more than 17 in any game. They are playing outstanding defense. And if they can get the ball back to the offense and they get a hitter like Travion Henderson some space, you saw what Notre Dame did, right? Notre Dame played great football against Ohio State, and then Travion got loose. I think that is what Michigan needs to be afraid of when they go face this team, because you're gonna bracket 1-8, right? You're gonna try to take away the second option, and you're gonna try to stop the run. If you can stop the run, I think you got a shot, because I don't see Kyle McCord as the kind of quarterback that could pick apart this Michigan defense. They're just too good. They're too good. And yet, and still, he's good enough to beat them the same way that J.J. McCarthy has been good enough to beat Ohio State. We'll have to wait and see on this, but I'm going to be talking about this till I'm blue in the face, as I'm going to be in Los Angeles on the Fox Sports lot doing our Wendy's Live tailgate with a couple of real professionals and greats. Chris Howard at Michigan, Beanie Wells at Ohio State. We'll be chopping it up on the couch, talking to you guys about the game. Please send us your questions, even starting now, as I'm really interested to find out what those guys think, especially seeing as there's going to be no Jim Harbaugh on the sideline in Ann Arbor. I'm going to extend my invitation to Jim Harbaugh to join us on set as we are going to watch Ohio State, Michigan. I understand if you want to be on the couch doing your own thing, because that's normally how I watch Oklahoma football games, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.